How do you make your cheap violin sound better? Great question. Not all violinists, when they start their journey, have the budget or the means to directly buy a very expensive instrument. Most of us start on cheap violins, and unfortunately they don't always sound the best. But luckily there are some simple ways in which you can upgrade your cheap violin that are definitely not that high of a cost and make a huge difference in how it sounds. So here are my tips to make your cheap violin sound better. The first and most important tip is to invest in a good string. For instance, the string that I use and really like is Tomastic dominant strings. I can link them in the description. But there's a whole lot of strings that will make your violin sound better. And normally, if you buy a very cheap kit, they come with the very cheapest strings that will break quickly, but also don't sound very good. So use a relatively nice quality string. At the moment they cost around 60 euros or maybe $80. I'm not sure exactly in every country. And of course, this is a little bit of an investment, but at the same time you will have great strings. And the ones that I am recommending, they sometimes last years on my violin. Even though you should change them every half a year, they have lasted for years. So definitely invest into a good string so that your violin directly sounds so much better. So the second tip I have for you is to use a different rosin. Rosin comes in many shapes and sizes, but normally if you buy a cheap violin kit, you will have the worst, scratchiest sounding rosin. And rosin is truly not expensive. It's like $5 for one piece of rosin, or maybe $6. And it really lasts for 20 years. Really, seriously, I just bought a new rosin, and the first rosin I had it since I'm 10 years old. So truly it lasts a lifetime. And a good rosin is not expensive and makes a big difference for your sound. For instance, a rosin that you could use is Pirastro Gold. The next one is a little bit more expensive, because normally you would have to ask a luthier to help you with this, a violin builder. But this is to adjust the position of your bridge. Some cheap violins have very bad bridges and they don't exactly align with the body of the instrument. So that means that there's a little gap between the bridge and the body of the instrument. Sometimes they are also very high, so the strings are very high above the fingerboard, or the strings are not perfectly on the right places. For instance, two strings are closer to each other and two are further away from each other. So sometimes investing into a good bridge can make a very cheap violin sound a lot better. And that doesn't directly cost like thousands of dollars for a fancy violin. The last thing to check is the position of your sound post. I once bought a very cheap violin on, it is a little bit similar to Craigslist, but in Germany it's called eBay Kleinanzeigen. And the violin was like, I think like 100 euros, and it sounded terrible. And for a while I was like, what happened with this violin? I had no idea, but I just knew I couldn't listen to the sound. And then I realized there's no sound post in the violin. So after the sound post was placed in the violin and it had a sound post again, the violin suddenly sounded so nice. It became a nice violin. And it was a very cheap violin I got secondhand because the other owner probably didn't know about that. So another thing to check is the position of your sound post, and if there's even a sound post in there. But if you bring your violin ever to a builder, ask to check the position, because the position of the sound post also makes a big difference on the sound. So I hope this video helped you to get some ideas how you could upgrade your cheap violin with low cost. Thank you so much for watching, and please let me know if there's anything in this video that you've done to your violin yourself. Did you ever upgrade your strings? And also let me know what you liked and what made the biggest difference for you. And also, for instance, if you bought new strings, what type of strings you liked. Let's all help each other with ideas and tips how to upgrade cheap violins and make violins in general sound better. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for weekly lessons and violin tutorials. And also check out Julia's Violin Academy, www.juliasviolinacademy.com, for my step-by-step learning platform and violin academy for adult beginners. We have daily Zoom classes, daily Zoom lessons. You can get one-on-one feedback, and there's a step-by-step learning system. Basically everything you need to learn how to play violin very efficiently and with very much fun in a fun community of adult beginners from all over the world. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next week for my next lesson. Bye bye!